So welcome, ladies, again to Real Women Sharing Big Stories, an online summit. Some of you are going to watch it now and some probably going to be watching after. I would love to introduce to you Samantha. Samantha is actually from Australia. And we have some of the guests like people from South Africa, Mexico. So it's so nice. And Samantha, she's the founder of Spending Made Easy. And she's actually going to speak about budgeting. So why budgeting doesn't work and what you need to do about this. So I'm going to give it to you.
All right. Thank you, Dana, and welcome everybody, and thank you for attending. I will try and make this as interesting as possible because we know budgeting is not always an exciting subject. So I am just going to share my screen, and there we go. Hopefully you can just see my my presentation now, and me hopefully in the corner. So yeah, I'm Samantha Boardman, but most people call me Sam. So thank you for attending. And wherever you are and wherever you are in the world and whatever currency you deal with, we all need to budget. It's a thing that people don't like doing. And yeah, I think it conjures up negative emotions and negative feelings, and it's a bit like a diet. If you start a diet, you start immediately thinking about what you can't have, and it's the same with budgeting. So budgeting is generally not a very exciting topic. So with my business, I try and make it exciting, and yeah, I've got lots of success stories. So thank you for attending, and like I said, budgeting works in any currency, and my software that I use works in any currency too. So I just need to move, sorry, there, sorry, right. Thank you for attending. And most people who budget, I find, generally use like an Excel spreadsheet, or I've had clients with bits of paper all over the place, and that's what works for them. And generally, they think it works for them, but then it doesn't work for them because we have different frequencies. We pay for stuff weekly, fortnightly, monthly, annually. And yeah, it all gets a bit complicated. And how many times does a bill come in where you thought, oh, I didn't realize I forgot my registration was due on my car and things. So we just need a better system and a better way of organizing our budgets. So this is I'll tell you a bit about myself first. So my story is I am originally from England. I'm from Northwest England, Manchester to be exact. And I've been in Australia now 20 years, and I'm a proud Australian. And I moved here in 2003. So it's now nearly 20 years ago. And this dog here is a police dog. He's called Saki, and he is my first memory of budgeting. So when I was little, I was allowed to take police dog Saki to the shops because it was deemed safe to take a police dog to the shops. And we used to buy the newspaper, and we used to walk home, and he would carry the newspaper in his mouth, and he loved it. It was very cute. Yeah, and the newspaper was 8 pence back in the day when I was little. And my dad used to give me 10 pence to buy the newspaper. So that meant there was 8 pence for the newspaper. I got 10 pence because there's a 10 pence coin. And so I could use 2 pence to buy sweets or lollies or save it. So that was my payment for going. And that's my earliest memory of budgeting. So yeah, rest in peace, police dog Saki. So the reason why I think budgeting doesn't work is because times have changed. Years ago, it's like I've done like a then and now. Years ago, we had to save up for what we wanted. We had to, if we wanted a new pair of jeans, we would have to save up for those pair of jeans. And then the shopkeeper wouldn't give us them until we went in the shop and paid for the pair of jeans. There was no buy now, pay later scenarios. There was no, put stuff on, I won't say rent to own, but it's not really rent to own. But yeah, so credit cards, even like people are using credit cards even more, and all these payments are in the future. And years ago, back in the day, if you couldn't afford it, then you didn't have it. Whereas these days now, you can have it all. You really can have it all. And you can go out the door with a bank balance being a certain amount, and then you can spend up a storm and buy all the things that you want and get that instant gratification, that buzz that you want. And you can have it all, and your bank balance will be exactly the same as when you get back, because of the buy now, pay later scenarios. And there's nobody saying to you in the shops, as far as I know, oh, is your rent due tomorrow? Or can you afford all of this stuff that you're signing up for future payments? So there's credit cards, there's interest free, there's buy now, pay later, and they really are sort of affecting the way we budget, because everything is in the future. Like I said, we can walk out of a shop laden with goods and we still have the same bank balance. And I don't believe that many of us, the majority of us, are actually seeing if we can afford those future payments that we're actually signing up for, as well as all the other stuff that we committed to, like our rent and our gas and electric. So yeah, nowadays it's all, you know, instant gratification. Yeah, you can have it, but pay for it later and worry about it later. And people are getting themselves into a lot of strife because the days are gone where we saved up for it and then paid for it. So yeah, so people think that budgeting is crap, excuse the language. But yeah, so I wrote a book called Budgeting is Crap. It does start off with Saki, the police dog, and there's a story in there about how I lost him once at the shops, but I won't go into that today. And yeah, it's a light-hearted read about my whole life budgeting and what I did from basically the 8 pence with the for the newspaper right through to buying my first home. So yeah, Budgeting is Crap. It's a light-hearted read. It's a true story. I had to change a couple of names, but yeah, it's all good and it's really great. And there's some financial sheets at the back to see where you financially sit. So it's a bit of a help book as well towards the end. So I do have a book, and it was a bestseller. So I like to think that I, you know, I mean, I've lived budgeting, and I've, you know, I'm very good at it. And I think it's a bit like a Rubik's Cube. People who can do Rubik's Cubes just like get them and do them, and they're great, and this thing is easy and fun. I'm the same with budgeting. You know, Rubik's Cubes don't interest me, but budgeting does. So traditional budgets fail, like I said, because we're all, everything now is ahead and none of us are planning ahead. I think it's too easy to tap and go. There's an expression, cash is king, yet is it really? Because none of us are using cash. And sometimes these days, particularly with the pandemic, people are saying, you know, they're not taking cash, they'll only take card. And none of us are double checking if we can afford stuff before we tap and go. And we treat our available balance as that. We just go, yeah, we can afford it. And go, oh, yeah, I'll get it. And yeah, it's crazy, but it's causing people to get into debt, as I said. So I've done a little list of why budgets fail, because we aren't looking or planning ahead. How easy is it to tap and go? We aren't double checking that we can afford something before we commit. So everything is future payments. We know that when we sign up for a mortgage, all the future payments are in, but it's the same now with anything, because we're all using credit cards and buy now, pay later scenarios. And no one in the shops, as I said, is actually checking that the customers can afford it. I've never heard anybody when they're signing up for the afterpay and the buy now, pay later scenarios. They're not saying, oh, when's your rent due? Are you okay here with signing up for all this stuff? Of course, they want the commission or the sales or everything. So they're actually promoting you to get buy now, pay later, and they're pushing people further into debt. And then sometimes people would rather pay their afterpay payments than their rent or whatever. So all our commitments are in the future. Every single, I believe, majority of payments are in the future. And people are treating their available bank balance as an available bank balance. And like I said, it's not. If you've got $800 in your bank account, then people sometimes go out and spend $800, but their rent might be $600 that's due the next day. So it's just all about planning and knowing when stuff is due, whether it's weekly, fortnightly, annually, monthly, or whatever. And we want that instant gratification of being able to have what we want when we want it, because, you know, we want that feel good feeling. And often it comes with buyer's remorse, but and we can have what we want as well by these sales assistants being encouraged for us to use the buy now, pay later scenarios. And in today's climate as well, particularly during a pandemic, the cost of living is going up. Yeah, our wages, I know people that are on 70% of their wage or 80% because they're working less because of the pandemic. So we're actually all, and then, you know, fuel prices are going up, you know, utility prices are going up. So in effect, we're all trying to squeeze more into less. And the more you've got, the more you spend. I have got clients who earn hundreds of thousands of dollars and they spend way more than the people with less income, obviously, but the better savers are the ones with less income, in my opinion. So why might you be here? Hopefully that to listen to me talk about why budgeting doesn't work. But there's some scenarios that I've heard of a lot in my time. So why people would want to, you know, hear about budgeting. So you might be fed up of living paycheck to paycheck. You might not be able to sleep at night due to worrying about your finances. Your finances might stress you out. And you could be arguing with your partner over your joint finances, and that's never good. You might already have a budget, but it just doesn't work. Like I said, it might be an Excel spreadsheet, it might be some Post-its, it might just be in your head. And, you know, there's a lot of good ways out there, but a lot of them I find there's something missing, and it's about scheduling and planning and being accurate as well and not forgetting anything. And people often don't know where all their money goes. And I mean, physically where their money goes. And I mean, every cent. I had a client once who did my plan, and she had over $1,000 a month left over once we'd done the spending plan. And she said to me, are you telling me that I'm wasting $1,000 a month? And I said, no, I'm not telling you you're wasting $1,000 a month, but what I'm telling you is there is $1,000 a month left over once you've paid for everything that you should. And we went through it with a fine-tooth comb. Immediately that day, she started saving $1,000 a month, and she genuinely didn't know where it went. But I think it gets back to that buy now, pay later scenario, and just tap and go and just go, oh, I'll get it. And yeah, and if we don't monitor it, how can you improve it? You might be overwhelmed or embarrassed or even ashamed of your financial situation. I've got all sorts of clients who, I've got clients who just earn benefits, which I'll talk about in a sec, and clients who earn a lot of money. And they just might be, you know, the most embarrassed person that I've helped was a guy who earned $250,000 a year because he deemed himself useless. But he wasn't useless because he obviously had a really good job. So we don't be overwhelmed at Spending Made Easy. There's no embarrassment, there's no judgments. Or you might just be curious about what I do and what system I use and why I think budgeting doesn't work, which it doesn't. And like I said, I've even written a book about how crap it is. And yeah, you just need to know how you're doing financially. And you might be really good with your money, but just maybe looking for a better solution. Or you might have FOMO, fear of missing out. You just want to see what's what, which is completely fine too. So I'm going to talk about Spending Made Easy now. So I founded Spending Made Easy in 2016, which is now 6 years ago. And it was July 2016. So it's just over 6 years. And we have helped hundreds of clients. And what we do is we create a spending plan. So all those future commitments, and even if people must use buy now, pay later scenarios, and like I said, there's no judgments at Spending Made Easy, we just schedule them in. And at any one time with a spending plan, you know how much surplus you've got. So when you went out to the shops, you would know from your spending plan, right, I've got 300 bucks a week surplus. And so when the shopkeeper says all of this is 100 bucks a week for the next however long, You go, yeah, I know I can afford that. And you go and then you put it in your spending plan and you pay it, and you just know that you can, you can afford things. So a spending plan is awesome. It changes people's lives. Spending plans change people's lives. And when I first started Spending Made Easy, I have a friend who is a policeman. His name is Andy. And Andy said, because I talked about my budgeting business for quite a while, he said to me, if you start your budgeting business, I want to be your very first client. I am useless with my money. He had 3 children. He was paying child support. He was struggling. He was a shift worker. So he was a shift worker, and he just wasn't managing his money as well as he could. And he had a fluctuating income as well. Because of the shift work, he had a lot of, ups and downs with his pay. And I believe that they were taking his child support out of his salary before he got it as well, which meant that he was not in control of all of it. But now Andy has peace of mind. He focuses on his family and is safe in the knowledge that he can provide for them. He was my first sign up in 2016, and he is still a client to this day, and he loves it. And he is a very, very happy customer. So what is a spending plan? As I said, it schedules all of your payments going forward. It knows when bills are due. You get excited. I've got clients who message me quite a lot, getting excited about paying bills, which is nice. And you always know when they're coming up, so there's no surprises. It gives you full control over your financial situation. You pay your bills on time. And a spending plan can predict the future. It will predict 10 years into the future. So if you populate it with all of your expenses, even your holiday that you want, the cruise that you're saving up for, anything like that, you can see any excess too. Once you've put all your expenses in, it will tell you if there's any excess, and it will also tell you if it's going to go into deficit. So you can see it going, into the red, but you see it before you get there. So you can do something about it. You can maybe cut back on the takeaways or try and reduce some sort of outgoings at some point, because you can see your financial before you get there. Plus, it would also tell you how much you need to have in your bank account at any one time, which is sort of the crux of the spending plan. They really are awesome, and they change lives. So they are modern and flexible and easy to do. It's different from a budget because it doesn't track your spending. It gives you complete transparency over your finances now and into the future. As I said, it's awesome. We use awesome software, and I'm going to show you a little snapshot. It's not all about the software. It's about just, getting the support and guidance and the help you need to manage your money better. But I'll give you a couple of snapshots in a bit about the software. But all I can say is with the software that it helps people focus more. And I can't tell you the difference when people see it's their expenses. Is they go, oh, my gas is this, my electric's this, and we put it all in, and they can afford it. And sometimes, most of the time they've got excess money. So many times people have got way more than they think. And I can't take people say, this is wrong, what's going on? And I say, it's not wrong. Like, it's just the way it is. Like, because people just, sort of hope, getting stuck in and hoping for the best. And really, when you monitor it a little bit closer, it really is awesome. And when you focus on the future and focus on your spending plan, you develop new habits, and people reduce debt quicker. And then you can know the exact date when a loan is going to be paid off. It's just awesome. They're modern, flexible, easy. They're easy to do. So another client of mine was called Paige, and Paige put a Facebook post on Facebook, and she was living with her boyfriend at the time in a shared house, and her boyfriend wanted to move out of the shared house, and they needed to save for a bond for the new place that they wanted to get together, but they also wanted to get their bond back from the shared house, which was not going to happen because it was people there were a bit untidy. So she couldn't rely on that money, and she had this fantastic Excel spreadsheet. I caught up with Paige for a coffee, and she shared with me all her things. I just need to know what I'm doing, and she had it nailed. Like, this Excel spreadsheet was epic. And she shared with me at this coffee that all she got was benefits. She got $540 a fortnight benefits, which is only $14,000 a year. And she said she was raised that whatever you get, you save 10%. So every fortnight she got her $540 a fortnight, and she saved $54 a fortnight. And I could see her spreadsheet, and I could see that, you know, she had everything accounted for, and she was worried about trying to get the bond together. And she said to me, right, I want to sign up to your plan. I was like, oh, I don't think there's no extra money in here. She said, no, I've got my savings. And she just had this massive savings account because she'd put her $54 a fortnight away. So yeah, Paige is awesome. The reason there's some palm trees there is because once she asked me to catch up with her and said, can we just put Bali in this is pre-COVID, she said, can we just put a Bali trip into our spending planner and see if we can afford it? We put the Bali trip in, we put the flights, we put the accommodation, and we put the spending money in the right points. And then she knew what she had to do before the trip happened. And her and her partner went to Bali, and they moved out as well. So everything was achieved by her setting up a spending plan correctly. So the software, it's all online. It's not an app at the minute. It is, as I said, it projects 10 years into the future. It is, you can use it on a tablet or an iPad or a PC. And basically you populate all of your expenses. One of my top tips for budgeting is to always start with your expenses. So I'm just going to see, I see there's 2 chats. I just want to see it's not to help. How does it work with you don't have a regular payment? Okay. Right, I shall come back to that in a tick. So yeah, so the software is, I think it's epic. It is a game changer. Like I say, I cannot tell you how different when, you know, I can show you, I mean, I'm going to show you like a little snapshot of the thing. So here, this is just like screenshots of the dashboard. So here on the left, there is, you can see where your money's going. So if you had committed to a load of buy now, pay later scenarios, this little graph on the left would say buy now, pay later, or whatever you call it. So it says household, food, fuel. You could put, you know, afterpay or buy now, pay later. You can literally call categories what you want. And you can see the picture on the right is your income versus your expenses. And as long as you've got more coming in than going out, then, you know, happy days. So in this one, there's over $3,300 surplus per annum. So this is just like for the next 12 months. So you can literally see with a little pie chart where all of your money is going. And this, when you get a spending plan, this is completely blank. That would be a white screen and just an empty graph. And as you put your stuff in, you can see how you go. And I always say, start with your expenses. Never, ever put your income in first, because I think if you start with your income, people try and just use the income. Whereas if you forget about your income to start with and just put expenses, 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 and this will tell you, like, if it's weekly, fortnightly, monthly, whatever, however you get paid and however you want to look at it, it will tell you how much you need to, like, weekly, say right, you're committing to, and it will cater for monthly, quarterly, annually, and then it will tell you, say, right, all of these bills are due monthly, or the annual one's due next week, and so it knows, and it'll say, right, you need to have $600 a week going into this account, and then you're, oh, good, because I get $700 a week, fabulous, and then you put in your income. So I always start with expenses, but basically this graph here, these little images here, just populate with your own expenses. And I can't tell you how different it is when you realize that's your money that you're watching. So the projections, this is basically, you can see how many times I've done this because this is from 2019, but the basically from on the left to on the right is the is 12 months basically. So this is from, I think, September 2019 to September 20. This is an old screenshot, but so you can see in the green is your bank balance. So you can see here that this person's got over $2,000 in their bank account right up until December, and then they go in the red a bit, and then they go back in the green. And I've purposely done this so that you can see that this person would eventually be, at the end of the year, nearly $10,000 in debt. But they've got all of that time to get there. They've got all of that time to start saving and doing stuff while they're in the green. So basically, you see when you're going to go overdrawn. So it's awesome. And this black line here is if you did have an overdraft facility on your bank, say, and I did have a client once who did live in her overdraft. So if you have, say, $1,000 overdraft, you can just put the line, and the line would go in on $1,000. So you can just see, wait, so the ones here, I don't know if you can see my arrow pointing, but yeah, so it's like December, you can just see little reds, but they actually don't go over the overdrawn. So yeah, you can just put a line in there. And then this is also a snapshot of the spending plan. If you remember years ago, even now, when you get, I think they're all online though now, but when you get a bank statement, it tells you your bank balance, which you know, and then it tells you all of your historic, like whether you went to Bunnings or you bought food or you fed petrol, it's all done, but it tells you your bank balance now. And all of that stuff historically is irrelevant because you spent it, you know what your bank balance is, or you should, and you go, oh God, and it's just all historic. It's almost like a waste of paper because it's done, it's gone, it's finished, it's spent. Whereas with a spending plan, it takes your bank balance now. Here, like this one is like your opening balance. We start off with your whenever you start your spending plan, we start off with your current bank balance, and it basically predicts your future bank statements, and you can work it out. You can work out whether you're going to go overdrawn, and you put your stuff in, all of your transactions, and it knows weekly, fortnightly, monthly, annually, whatever, daily. If you have a daily coffee and you tap and go for $5 or $4.20, then put $4.20 in every day, and your bank balance will be exactly the same as it is here. And you can predict your bank balance before you get there. And this will go for 10 years. It's epic. I'm just good. There's a thing in the chat. Yeah, not regular payments, right? Okay. Oh, Dana wants to speak. Do I unmute you?
Yeah, so I think one of the questions that probably most of the ladies here have is that, so you speak about the software and everything, but how do you actually can work when you don't know how much money you're gonna get every single month? Because as an entrepreneur, right, you have a certain, like you're aiming for something. So you're starting with the expenses. So I know, for example, my expenses will be, let's say, 10,000 Rand a month. Now I know that you need to get over it, but how can you actually predict to the future as well? If you don't really know how much money you're going to get every single month.
Right. Okay.
How do you deal like this? Because I think for a lot of people here, they want to deal, they want to know how to manage their budget better, especially when they don't know how much money they're going to get in.
Exactly. Yeah. So with the, I think, let me just go back to, so you see this graph here is just that's your graph, right? So what you would do is you would put all of your expenses in, because whether you've got a fluctuating income or not, and I think probably the majority of people watching, I think loads of people, we've all got side hustles and part-time work, or some days we have a good month and then we'll have a bad month, or we'll have nothing at all, or we get sick, or we can't work. So what you do with a spending plan is, that's why I said you start with your expenses. So you start, and it's all about wants and needs. So we need a roof over our head, clean running water, food on the table, and like clothes on our back. So we put all that in the spending plan. And then you put in whatever else you need with it, your fuel and your food and all the rest of it, okay? And it will tell you, which is what I said earlier, whether you do weekly, monthly, fortnightly, it will say you might need, say, $700 a week to maintain this bank account. Now, if you get, so then you put in your start balance, which might be $300, and then it would recalculate, and it doesn't, it would just flick up and it would say, right, it's actually $550 a week now because you've got a head start because of your starting bank balance. And then you literally live with it. So you put in whatever you earn, and then you go, right, so you put in, because I've got, like, I do part-time work, okay? And in my spending plan, my part-time work is at a 0. And each time I get paid, which I got paid yesterday on Wednesday, I literally changed it and said, oh yeah, I got paid, like I only worked 1 day last week. So I got paid $152. So it's part-time, and I just put in $152, and I saw the green move along. Yes, it's going to go overdrawn because I haven't got any income coming in. So you can see how long it's going to last. And then when it goes into the red, and you think, yeah, and then when you get a good month, you put a good month in, and then that red, when it goes into the red on the graph, you can just move along, and then you just live with it. And then if you win the lottery, say, just for extremes, if you win the lottery, you've got a big lump sum. Say you won $10,000 on a scratchy, you put $10,000 in, and then, or 10,000 in, and then you see it just go in the green, and you go, wait, and then it will still tell you because it predicts 10 years into the future. So you don't need to earn anything now till you know, in 6 months or 12 months or whatever, but you just live with it going forward. You don't have to put income in. Well, you don't have to put future income in if you don't know it. You just put in your income as you go, and you live with it. And that's what I help you do. That's what a spending planner helps you do. We help you live with it. So yeah, does that make sense?
To me, yes. If the other ladies have a question, they can ask.
I think, let me just see. Yeah, so helpful. How does it work when you don't have a regular? Yeah, that's what I think that you meant. Yeah, how does it work when you got regular payment?
Yeah, I think like a lot of us just trying to understand how you can manage a budget. Look, my mom was a banker, so I always have like the saving and the stuff in my head. But I think for a lot of us, like that's what we're trying to figure out, how you can plan yourself when you actually don't know. Like, so, because it's a great way to push yourself. Like I like what you said, like with expenses, because I think it kind of pushes you to know, okay, if I'm spending like, let's say 10,000 Rand or whatever per month, I know that I at least need to get that in order to be balanced.
Yes. So, I had a client the other day who came to one of my workshops, and we put all her spending, you know, we put all her expenses in, and then she could see it, and then she says, oh, I don't get this much money. And then she put her income in, and it worked out that she was $90 a week in deficit. It said, you need $90 a week. She immediately went out and like started selling, because she does a side hustle of like beauty products, Rodan and Fields. And she literally said, I've got all this excess stuff. And she sold it all and put it all in the spending plan. And then it went up. So, and then she went out and started looking for a part-time job, because it was the reality of, you know, I need to, because she did have a regular income every week and it wasn't enough. And she said, well, this is why I've never got any money. But it told her the exact amount she needed. And then she suddenly thought, right, what have I got that I can get rid of? Just to sort of add to it, and every little bit helps. I can't tell you like how every little bit helps with the spending plan. It's awesome. So hopefully I've answered the fluctuating thing. Like I said, it's 0. So if you, when you start a spending plan, this graph is all in the red. You go, it's like that, and all of that is red. And then you put your start balance in, and it goes, hopefully it goes a bit in the green. And then as you live, you just hopefully as you live with it, you've got income to come in to cover what you've got going out in the next however long. And like I said, if you won money, or somebody, you know, gave you money they owed you or whatever, and you put it in, it would tell you how long that would last. And the next day you're going to go overdrawn. It will always tell you the first day you're going to go overdrawn, so you know how long you've got to earn more money, or to get a new client, or for somebody to pay you what they owe you, or whatever. So hopefully I've covered that. Right. Right. So I've talked about that. So why do we all need a spending plan? Because, as we know, I think it's the same worldwide, certainly in England and Australia where I've lived, budgeting is not taught in schools, and maintaining your finances, I don't believe is it's not talked about. Like I said, budgeting conjures up negative feelings and stuff, and a spending plan helps us stop living week to week, because we can just, it helps us see, like I just explained, your financial future and what you have to do before you get there. I had a client actually, just talking about that scenario just now, a lady, she's a single mom and she's still a client to this day. And she had takeaway every Friday. She's a single mom. She said, Fridays, takeaway. I said, right, how much do we spend on takeaway every Friday? And she said, oh, $50. So we've put $50 in the spending plan every Friday, and it immediately started going into the red. And she was like, oh, we haven't got any, that's what we do. And I said, well, you're going to go overdrawn very quickly. So she changed it to once a month, pizzas once a month. And not only is it healthier, but her plan immediately flicked, and just by changing the takeaway. So then she just said, kids, we're having pizzas once a month now, not once a week, because we can't afford it. She could see exactly what was going to happen. So yeah, it's all about just seeing into the future, seeing your financial future before you get there. The banks are tightening up with stuff now. So I think the more that you arm yourself with your ammunition, if you like, knowing your financial situation, the good and the bad, then you've got a red hot go of making it work. And as we know, the buy now, pay later scenarios, everyone's encouraging us to spend, whether it's a new TV or a new, sofa or dining room table, it's all in the future. And the numbers don't lie. So like I said, even if you are going to go into the red, it will show you that you're going into the red. So I'm just going to look at the chat. Planning is key for everything. Yes, exactly. Amen, sister. Right. So I am going to tell you now about another client, another success story. Sarah. So Sarah was another single mom. I have a lot of single moms as clients. That's like my target audience is single moms. And I have a lot of them and I love them all. So Sarah is a single mom. She had great income, really good with her money. And she came to me saying, I'm really good with my money. I don't actually want your hand holding or your support and guidance or you developing new habits, because I just want to be better at managing it. She said, I want to go to Bali twice a year. I want to pay off my jet ski. That's her on her jet ski. And yeah, she had 2 teenagers living at home that were, bleeding her dry. And yeah, she just wanted to manage her money better. So she did my DIY plan. I have a DIY plan where you just get 4 emails and you do it all, like everything I've said here, like with my with the spending plan, the tips and the tricks and how to use it and how to set it up and how to monitor it and how to live with it. Yeah, so she did it and she loves it, and she's still a client to this day. She's a raving fan, and yeah, she is. She just wanted a better system. She did not deem herself to be bad at budgeting. She just wanted to see if the software could be work for her, because it projects into the future, and it did work for her. So what are the benefits of having a spending plan, which are the way forward? So there's no more financial stress with a spending plan, no more waiting for payday, no more sleepless nights or arguing with your partner over money. And it's complete transparency, which means the ability to plan ahead, which hopefully I've explained. You see the reality of it all, the good and the bad. Like we said, with all of us with our fluctuating incomes, we still pay the rent on time and the gas and the electric and feed the kids and all the rest of it. But just knowing what we're committing to and what we need to pay and what's left over, you just live with your spending plan and you roll with it and you're, oh my God, we need to get money in before, 2 weeks time, because, we're going to go overdrawn. And at least you can say to your bank, look, I'm going to go overdrawn for 2 days or whatever. So you literally can just plan ahead. So you see the good and the bad. But generally, like I said, most people got more than they think. really. I've got so many stories, it's ridiculous. It's visual proof as well of where all your money is going, so you can see where your money is going. Like I said before, whether it's Afterpay or, you know, pizzas on a Friday night, you see your financial future before you get there, which is just epic. Like I said, it's when you see it's your figures and your bank balance that you're looking at. It's sometimes it's confronting, but generally you go, oh, I'm quite pleased with how I'm doing here. It's really good. And you see the opportunity, like I said, with the lady with the pizza every Friday, you see the opportunity to change your spending habits before it's too late. And it's a great tool to reduce debt, pay off credit cards, and save for a financial goal. And it's peace of mind knowing that you have got enough, and generally you have. So earlier I spoke about Paige, who earned $540 a fortnight. I had Ron, the builder, who earned in excess of $250,000 a year. Now, that is, in Australian terms, that is a lot of money. He's actually a builder and he builds hospitals. And he used to sit there with his head in his hands going, I'm useless, I'm useless. And I said to him, you're not useless, because I'm pretty sure they don't let useless people build hospitals. All you are is not very good at your money. So he had no savings, he had no superannuation, he had no house or mortgage. He lived with a girl he'd met on the internet, and he really was just not knowing where his money was going. Yet he had, remember Paige, who knew where every cent was with her Excel spreadsheet, and she only got benefits. Like this is why I've put Ron in, because Ron, the builder, had all of this money and he had no savings, yet Paige had a load of savings because she saved 10% every time she got paid. Ron didn't know where all his money went. He had no clue. He thought he wasn't smart. I had to keep reminding him that he's very smart because he builds hospitals. But yeah, he did my spending plan. He did my system. He eventually consolidated all his debts. He went and saw a financial advisor, and now all's well in his world, and he is contributing to super and all the rest of it. So he is a success story, but he's one of those, and we said earlier, the more you've got, the more you spend. So he is just spending it, and he had no idea. And I think his net income was like $11,000 a month. And we, you know, on my first visit, I was going, so yeah, and he goes, oh, I'll pay that on, and yeah, I've got an investment property, but it's not in my name, but I contribute that. And I was going, right, so we're up to 5,000, so you get 11, so where's the other 6? He genuinely did not know where his money was. It blew my mind that he was not aware of where his money was going. But we said no judgment. We laid it all out. We summarized, we prioritized, and yeah, now he's nailing it. So as we know, this session or this little segment is called Why Budgeting Doesn't Work and What You Need to Do About It. I think I've explained why budgeting doesn't work, because, you know, years ago, like we know, we used to have to save for things, whereas now there's not, everything's in the future, and people budget generally with historically, like a lot of the bank apps and stuff tell you, they track your spending, but that's when you've already spent it. We need something to plan ahead. So what we need to do about budgeting not work, we need to focus on the future. So focusing on the future, you need to know what your bank balance needs to be at any one time, and a spending plan will tell you that. Don't ignore the facts. If you're committing to all of these things into the future, and you know, I've got clients whose priorities are fake nails and fake eyelashes and a spray tan every Friday, and there's no judgment. If they can afford it and still feed their children, have a roof over their heads, then that's fine. But sometimes if it's going to send to the rest, something might have to go. So yeah, we don't ignore the facts. You have to plan for all of your predictable expenses. Like we said earlier, we know when things are due, the gas, the electric, the rent, everything. Plan for your predictable expenses, and account for some unpredictable expenses too. So just, you know, sometimes, you know, your fridge might be making a noise, or you might need some spare, you know, a spare tire on your car, just anything at all that just generally comes up. We just plan for some unpredictable expenses so that there's no surprises down the track. I always say overestimate on your outgoings, and underestimate on your incoming. So like we said, if we did like what I do with my 0 incoming, so I've underestimated because I've put 0 incoming, and each Wednesday I just change the 0 to whatever I get paid. Now I've done 4 or 5 shifts this week. So next Wednesday, it'll be $600 or $700, and then my green will change. I go, yeah, you know, and then if I'm like, I got COVID and I was off and I got flu, I didn't work for 3 weeks, and I could see where my spending plan goes. I need to get back to work soon or sign up a client because I need to pay my bills. And it really was like the confronting image that I needed to basically get back to work or, you know, get some more money coming in. So, yeah. What we need to do is stop spending erratically and without thinking. Like I said, we go out to the shops and often we buy things that we don't need. We might be encouraged by the shopkeepers. And yeah, and then we often get buyer's remorse as well. Cutting back by a few little things, which I think I said earlier, cutting back on a few little things makes a massive difference rather than cutting back on one big thing. Like, oh, what, you know, I need $500. What are you looking for? $500 so you can cut it out. No, cut back on this a little bit, this a little bit, this a little bit, and you will be amazed at how just tweaking a few little things makes a difference. And one of my tips is get your head out of the sand. People burying their heads in the sand with their budgeting or their finances does not help anybody. It does not change your financial situation. If you develop better spending habits and, you know, try and get in the routine of doing a spending plan or doing your budget or looking at things and monitoring it and measuring it, then, you know, you've got a red hot go of making it work. And stop procrastinating and get help. Yeah, like I said, if, you know, like if you're good at a Rubik's Cube, then, you know, Rubik's Cubes are it. Like I love budgeting. And if I had my car breaks down and I look under the bonnet, I don't know what to do. So I take it to a mechanic to fix. And it's the same. If your budget isn't working and you don't know what to do and it's all just too much, you might be overwhelmed. You know, you might have separated from your partner, you might be emotionally not ready to look at it, then getting help is the best thing that you can do. So I have a client, Paula, who's my raving fan, and she is a single mum, 5 children. She used another budgeting company for 8 years, and we worked out that she spent over $20,000 on another budgeting company. And basically with Spending Made Easy, we set people up and then we leave them to it. Like we train them or condition them or help you to understand how to use a spending plan, and then you get on with it yourself. There is a $20 fee to use this, to continue access to the spending plan. But yeah, as soon as you get on, I haven't seen Paula for years because she just loves it. It changed her life. She's my biggest supporter. She has been a client for, I don't know, five years. She was one of the very first ones, like the policeman. And yeah, she just loves it. And she would rave about it till the cows come home. So, and there is a filmed testimonial of Paula on my website if anyone's interested. So I'm conscious that I'm waffling. Well, not waffling. Hopefully I'm giving you some information. But yeah, so does any of this sound familiar to you? There's lots of things that I've heard in my budgeting days. So I'm useless. If I've got it, I spend it. I earn good money. I just don't know where it all goes. My bills keep being due before I get paid, and it's so annoying. I will never be able to afford that. I keep dipping into my savings. I wish I could get ahead instead of being behind all the time. And my own personal favorite is I don't need to budget. So everybody needs to budget, I think. Like I said, like hopefully I've demonstrated, I've got Ron who earns $200,000 a year, wasn't budgeting, and Paige was budgeting but needed a bit of help. So yeah, everybody needs to budget in my opinion. So some little facts about Spending Made Easy. We never ever have control over our clients' money or our bank accounts. And we don't need to ask you how much you earn. Like I said, we put all your expenses in and then we say, right, this is what you need to live. And this is what needs to go in this bank account. And like I said earlier with the policeman friend, he had his child support taken out of his salary before he got it. So that I would never have known how much he earned anyway. So yeah, we don't need to know how much you earn. There's no call center, and we do not give financial advice. Everybody signs a disclaimer saying that anything that we say is not financial advice, it's merely a suggestion. And we demonstrate to our clients how much money that they actually need. So many people do not know how much they need. So remember, if you put all your expenses in and you want to look at it weekly, I'll tell you weekly. If you're a fortnightly or monthly person, pick it to fortnightly or monthly, and it will tell you, right, monthly. Because some people are paid, I was paid monthly for 20 years. It took me ages to get my head around weekly. But, and we all know that there's not 4 weeks in a month. So yeah, a spending plan can with all of that. And we need to deal with the facts. The guidance, the accountability, the support helps create financial independence. And once you're financially independent and you know what's what, it means empowerment. And there's no judgments here. I've got so many testimonials from clients who love it and think that it's, you know, the best thing since sliced bread. And they get excited about paying the bills, which is awesome. So if you think it's too much like hard work, once it's set up, it literally takes 5 to 10 minutes a week, and you develop new habits, and your success depends on it. I can't tell you how many people have sort of avoided me or avoided doing their budget, and then they go, oh, I've been meaning to sign up with you for ages, but I've been waiting for this, or I've been waiting for the divorce settlement, or I've been waiting for, you know, for me to have some money. It doesn't matter, you know what I mean? Because it's whatever your financial situation is, it is what it is. And then we draw a line in the sand and we move on. So my top tips, these are my top tips for you. If you do nothing else, these are my top tips. Draw a line in the sand, start somewhere, just start. Stop ignoring your financial situation, because ignoring it doesn't change anything, quite the contrary. Get help from a professional, somebody who is actually good at it. Do your research, look at testimonials, look at, you know, clients' experiences and feedback and stuff. And like I said earlier, if you can't fix your car, you pay somebody to do it. So there's, you know, there's, you get a professional in to fix your car, so you get a professional in to fix your budget. So as I said earlier, your top tip, always start with your outgoings, never your incomings. Review home loans, car loans, private health, utility providers. Know your limits. Stop spending what you don't have. Like it's easy, but with the, like I said, with the buy now, pay later scenarios, people are getting themselves into a lot of strife. And stop treating your available bank balance as your available bank balance. Cut down by a few things by a little, rather than one thing by a lot, as I said earlier. And monitor yourself. Ask yourself the hard questions before making that, you know, that impulse purchase and have buyer's remorse. And focus, plan, visualize that financial freedom, and create a spending plan and repeat all of the above. So those are my top tips. So I'm just going to very quickly talk about my prices, which is my business. So I have a 6-month support and guidance, which is 699 Australian dollars, and then 6 months at $99, which is just under $1,300. And there's, like I said, there's a $20 a month software fee that you pay once you've set up and you're all good to go. And that gives you access to the software that you're using, quick fix phone calls, texts and emails. And yeah, so that's a majority of my clients do the 6-month support and guidance, because generally they need the help. I also have the DIY package I mentioned, the girl with the jet ski. That's just a $247 one-off fee. And I think that's it from me. There is nothing to lose from having an informal chat. I know that we've got people from all over the world. I do have international clients. I've got clients I'm talking to somebody at the moment in France, and I have a client in Luxembourg. We Zoom at like 8 o'clock at night because it's her lunchtime. Yeah, it's awesome. Now there's 3, I'm just going to whiz here. So my catchphrase is, it's not about the income, it's about the outcome, which I think is awesome. And I also have a QR code here. I've got a freebie if anybody wants that QR code. It's 5 proven ways to manage your money and reduce your debt. So that code there will get you my free little book. Let me see what I can see that there's 3 3 messages. Planning is everything. Yeah, I think another one is about saving. Not sure how many of us are putting. Yes, exactly. And so many people, so many of my clients, like I said, the lady with $1,000 a month extra, she was like, oh my God, I'm going to save $1,000 a month. People have never think that they don't think they can save. So I go, what are you going to save for? And they go, I never thought I could save. I thought I spent all my money. And they go, well, you've got, so I would suggest a dream fund, because, you know, at the minute, like not, well, it's getting back to people traveling, but, you know, like people, we have a dream fund. You don't have to know what you want it for. Just put it away, and then something will happen, or you know, you'll go, oh my God, there's a car I want, or, you know, I've got the opportunity to do this, or there's this health retreat I want to go to. Flipping heck, I can afford it because I've been saving money. And you don't just blow it and, you know, tap and go and rah, rah, rah. You save what's left over. So it's definitely, yes, it's an important skill to develop. I agree, no matter, there's no better time to start a spending plan. Yes, Labu. I love it. Thank you, Samantha. Oh, thank you, Hayley. Yeah, so that's it.